I don't give a fuck.
And then when you're ready to go, just hit this button and then it'll take like this one right here. Yeah, then it'll take it like 30 seconds to warm up, so you got a second. But and then the remote is on.
Okay.
It
So, before my speech starts, I would like to apologize for my voice. I screamed my lungs out at the Who last night. Then halfway through, I realized that I had a speech. So, hopefully I can still speak well enough for my speech.
I'm out. Feedback for Chase will be Eric, Helena, and Matthew.
Here's my speech on why you should face chat instead of Snapchat or Facebook. When I was writing my notes into my cards, I realized I was procrastinating. I probably scrolled through Instagram for an hour before I realized I was doing exactly what my speech is about. I truthfully believe I'm addicted to social media, and you may be too. I actually found this in the Instagram settings about the amount of time I spend on social media. This is what was about 2 months earlier. Would have been way more, but because I spend Saturday and Tuesday hanging out with my friends going to Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, that time has been a bit decreased. But still, I spend about an hour daily on Instagram. If you're one of the few who do not have social media, consider yourself lucky but not exempt. 82% of the US population have a social media account. 90% of teens aged 13 to 17 have used social media. 75% report having at least one active account, and that's according to the AACAP. In this class, 78.6% of those I questioned have a social media account. 64.3% use social media for 2 or more hours a day. Social media is becoming the main way of socializing, and if you don't have it now, probably will in the future. And if not you, then definitely your children. Of course, I am on social media daily. It's hard not to be when people want to text me and I have a fear of missing out. I've been on social media since I was 11, and I felt like it was a social necessity for me. But is social media really that bad if it allows us to socialize? Yes, it is. It's actually way worse than I described. It goes far beyond taking your time away by being addicted. In this speech, I will discuss how social media companies are changing the social fabric of society, artificially creating a mental health crisis, what you can do to minimize the effects of social media, or what needs to change, and how seriously the world can change if nothing is done. Social media companies are artificially creating a mental health crisis. No one can deny that mental illnesses are on the rise. If you want numbers, according to the World Health Organization, there has been a 13% increase in mental health conditions in the last decade. There's a very obvious link to social media here. Social media both directly and indirectly causes mental health problems. For example, depression. You ever find yourself looking at the stereotypical perfect life havers on Instagram or Facebook, the people who seem to have no problems in their life? You know, someone who might take a video of themselves going to a Who concert, just having a blast, posting all over social media. Some may look at these people and start to feel sad. They may find every fault in their own life, but see none in the fault of those on their screen. If enough of this kind of media is consumed, it may even lead to depression. Now, of course, the less people advertise on social media aren't true, because people only want to show the good parts of their life, but sometimes this isn't always obvious. Most social medias also have a sort of algorithm that will recommend posts or content based on how long you have viewed the content, what kind of post you've liked, what you've commented on, etc. For example, I was on social media not that long ago in Sub. I was scrolling through Instagram Reels, and I was scrolling, and all of a sudden, there's a jumping spider on my screen, a video of a jumping spider. I threw my phone down, but I continued to look at the post for a while because I'm like, this is very disgustingly interesting. I looked at that one for a lot longer than all the other posts. I scroll. I get recommended another spider video, and I continued to watch that for longer than the other ones because it was disgustingly interesting. Eventually, my entire feed just became videos of jumping spiders. This could happen to someone who looks at a lot of people's other life. They continuously pay more attention to what's going on in others' lives and not to other things. It may get recommended, things like that, which could further increase the depression. These algorithms will also store that data, and social media companies are notionally just taking that data to other companies. And maybe if we actually got a share of that profit, we would not be as reluctant to give it up. But no, our information is stolen to no benefit to us. It's completely an invasion of privacy. So, what can be done about social media? It seems so bleak to think about how a multi-million-dollar industry that feeds off of our addiction could be defeated, but it is possible. Addiction takes time to overcome, but less time needs to be spent on social media. Instead of socializing, try making real friends and going outside. Feel the air on your skin. If you've been inside too long, go touch some grass. On a more fundamental scale, I would say the essence of technology itself should change. According to Martin Heidegger, the essence of technology treats everything natural as a standing reserve or as things to be used to further itself. Example, a saw is meant to cut wood. All wood then becomes a standing reserve for the saw. Another example, social media is meant to send text and post images. All people then become standing reserves for social media. I would say the essence of technology needs to change. Instead of being put on standing reserve, technology needs to be put on standing reserve. Saw should not reserve the wood, we should reserve the saw. Social media should not reserve us, we should reserve social media. Currently, we pay social media companies with our attention, but we give it no money. There's a popular saying, you're not paying for it, you're not the customer, you're the product being sold. This is exactly true, especially when social media companies sell our info to another company. That's what Victim in 2022. If you use social media, I can guarantee you some company is paying for you. You are the product being sold. Why are we allowing this? It's no benefit to us. Social media companies are going to be allowed to have our information no matter what. We should at least get cut the profit. Nothing is done about social media. We can see a mental health crisis, the likes of something never seen in history. Socialization could turn into an online thing. Perhaps we could get too much socialization, constantly being online. At least advertising agencies would be prospering as they would have all of our information. That's why I suggest you all call your representatives and demand they limit social media's power. Do not allow them to steal our information. Don't become an addict and go outside. Thank you. Any questions?
When was the last time you went outside? Before you come here today?
Was last night what?
You went outside and it felt like more than 5 minutes outside.
Yesterday.
Mr. Grounds.
No, I did not. Thought the homeless people last night.
Do you not think that us being paid kind of by the social media companies is actually being able to use the platforms? Because it's not just us doing work. Or is that not like enough?
Are you saying we should pay?
No, I'm saying, you're saying we don't get, like, we should get paid by the companies, but we get the entertainment of using the platforms for free outside of getting our data. Is that?
But we never need to have our information. So
You actually do when you click agree in terms and conditions.
sure
I have a question.
Yes.
What do you think about influencers and like super famous people who get paid to actually be on the app? Do you think it's still unfair towards them?
I think that those people are not as happy as this. I think it was stuck to the beginning.
Did you watch The Social Dilemma?
Which one is that?
Oh, I watched that. My therapist
Was
made
that
me.
was that the documentary?
Yeah.
I
The whole group.
I just remember in one of the documentaries I watched, they like personified the algorithm as like three people. That's like that.
It's like a lot like what you're saying, and just how we're the product, and then how all the red flags that came up in the company were basically like, all the companies were like, people were fired if they brought up concerns.
I liked the part of the movie where the son kind of just shoved his mom, took a hammer and like broke what was holding his phone.
No, it was pretty dramatic.
Okay.
That's the one where the kid became an extremist.
No, that was something else. But anyway,
Favorite song, shoot, so many good ones. I like Black Thunder, one that was in the Star Wars game. I like UAU. Both of them. It's emotional.
That's the only song I've heard.
Yeah.
No, the UAU.
Oh, really?
What are you saying? Can you say it slower? UA. Oh my god.
I can't do it.
That was really good.
Did you really post pictures though on social media of yourself?
Yes, he did.
Yes.
I was
After the concert, I was going like this.
Was it the Knitting Factory?
Yes.
He had 2 X's on his hands and he was like,
I took a shower though, because I got really sweaty. I hurt my neck a lot, so strong.
oh my god.
Do you have an opinion on how like phones and social media has changed the concert experience?
Concert experience? Yeah, I think people aren't as in the moment as they should. Because especially when I was there, I was like, man, I just want to show all my friends what I'm doing right now. It's going to be so great. I want to like relive this memory constantly, but I'm probably never going to go through my phone and watch the videos.
Right.
So do you recommend like that FaceTime and like video chatting is okay though? It was in the title, like is that like, do you find research on that?
I think that's okay. I think texting people is a lot better than social media. Like if you have someone's phone number, texting them is fine. There was actually part of one of the studies found that teenage girls that are hypersocial online, but also hypersocial offline, do not have any of the negative effects like other people do. And that people who are otherwise social awkward or socially inept who go online get a lot more out of it than they would if they were in person. It's just like, I would say, normal people who suffer the worst.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Because you're like really a lot younger than me. So like, what do you think would have happened if your parents were like, no, you can't have social media? You were saying how you wanted it so bad, and just as a parent thinking about my kids like wanting to be on social media. Would you
The
have?
thing is, I would not say that social media was a positive on me, but also it was like a social necessity. Every single kid had social media. If you wanted to talk to your friends outside of school, you had to have social media. Almost kind of text using their phone numbers. So at that point, it's like a necessary evil, kind of like how cars are, polluting everything, but you need a car to get to work. So you're probably gonna have to do your social media if they want to have any kind of social life, but also it can be really injuring to how they are socially. if that makes sense.
Dang it, okay.
Gotta be careful with those.
Yeah.
Just don't let them spend too much.
I was just planning on never letting them ever have a phone or social media until
Don't
they
touch
graduate
your
from high
ass.
school, but I
And
don't
then
know.
I think
how to do
it's
that.
in a tower like
that's-
Rapunzel.
If it was in a tower, don't do that. Your parents were those
I didn't get
Yeah.
it. I was like,
Yeah,
too.
the same. And then my, I had to buy my own phone at 16, so.
Well, that's because they were coming.
I didn't have smartphones when I was in college.
well, that doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
Feel.
Right.
It's like everyone has one, and you're the only one without one.
I was like,
A kid in my child's first grade class has a phone already.
That's
Isn't that
I
crazy?
thought this speech was gonna go on for like.
My friend is, she's a, I think she's like first grade teacher. And we like went out to dinner and she talks about how her kids are like, I have to go talk to my therapist, like in the middle of class, and like they're in the first grade, and that reminded me of that. I don't know why.
That's not a bad thing, really, I guess.
It's not, it's cute and unexpected and funny. And she said they'll like get together and like discuss their diagnoses, and their parents will just be listening.
they're diagnosing this.
Yeah, it's probably not the best idea.
Calls with pizza.
Usually happens after you sit down, but go ahead. The floor is yours. Positive.
Tell me how great I am.
You sparked a good discussion.
Yeah, you did. You have the power to make change.
Too bad I don't get graded for that.
Actually,
I think the low quality pictures were made a
Yeah,
really good
yeah.
impact. I was trying for that as well, for mine. I think it worked, but I think yours was much better.
Yeah.
What is the significance of that guy, or is it just?
He's just a dude on Twitter.
He looks like a guy who would be in Criminal Minds
He's
for
just a dude on
cannibalism.
Twitter. I don't know. This guy, I don't know what Fisher gives this guy.
It'd be a good episode.
I feel like this was your best
This is
slide.
the main.
That is the best one.
That was your best slide ever.
that's a good call to action.
Okay, to be a little more serious,
I have to let you go because it has been that amount of time, but like, I mean, maybe also give Chase some actual feedback.
I was literally about to do so. Give him the
Have
feedback.
a good weekend. I will see you on Monday.
Absolutely brutal.
Alright, done the line out.
I did not realize that you were part of the chamber